Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon and today I am back with my summer reading plans video. As you can see, I have been booted off my usual seat by a certain someone because I don't know if you can hear it, but the weather is dreadful. It is actually, as I'm filming this, summer solstice. It's Saturday, the 21st of June, and the weather, not to make this into a weather report, sorry I just covered up, but not to make this into a weather report, but this is not a good sign for summer because it's been on and off rainy. It's really muggy and cloudy, but also sticky hot, which I just do not love. That is a technical term from the meteorological, I could never say that word, society, sticky hot. Anyway, what I did think I would have a chat with you about though, as it seems apt with the time of year, is what I have got planned for my summer reading. Now, I don't like to make a TBR because as soon as I make a TBR, I invariably change my mind. I'm a contrary fairy and that's just the way things are. But I have, in homage to the wonderful Nathan's Nook, who fingers crossed is going to do a summer reading sort of vibe monologue that he does and I absolutely love. But in homage to him, I've chosen some themes for my reading, which actually I gave a little teaser of when I asked on Instagram for these 4 books to be voted on as my first read of the summer. And they kind of sum up the vibes that I'm going for in the summer. Summing up my summer. And yeah, so I thought we'd have a chat about those and then some of the books that are in contention. I have no reading for work until the end of August. I did my last event very recently with Eowyn Ivy, which was fabulous, and I'll talk about her incredible new book when I do my spring wrap up, which I think I'm going to film over the next couple of weeks in various stages, but I'm going to include some of June up to whichever the first book of summer is, and then include that in July's wrap up when I get back to doing monthly ones, because I do want to. Anyway, this is a very long intro and I wanted this to be a shorter, I was going to say sweeter, but frankly stickier. If I start sweating through this top, I'm so sorry. Right. So the 4 books that I picked all had certain themes, and the first one, which I actually thought would win the vote, and it did come second, I think, but I thought this would win, is Sunstruck, because this is giving real summer vibes, partly from the title, or I should say it's by William Rayfet Hunter, and I've mentioned this on the channel a few times. I think I've shown it when it's been in proof form, but this is being compared to, or being described as a novel version-ish, or a novel in the vein of, or a novel that you'd love, he's bored, he's had enough, a novel that you'd love if you love Saltburn. And it's about I believe a young man who joins this very rich family on holiday, and we follow on from there. It's gritty, it's got queer layers to it, and yeah, I'm very excited for this one. And this to me sums up the biggest theme of what I want for my summer reading, and that is summer gothic. I want this to be a real summer of gothic delights, and I have quite a selection of books. Sorry, I'm going to just have to get these from behind you, I hope you don't mind. There we go. That fit that sort of brief. And I was thinking actually the other day, oh Simon, that's such a clever idea for you to choose summer gothic, because I tend to leave gothic fiction to the, well, I was going to say end of the year, but sort of autumn, winter. And actually, I think you should be reading, or I should be reading, I'm not saying you should be reading anything, I don't want to over presume, but anyway, I think I should be trying to read gothic books sort of all year round. And I like the idea though of those sort of summer gothic novels that are dark in terms of atmosphere, but brimming with like a heat and a sort of, I don't know, sort of fuzzy, otherly sheen to them. You know, when you get that special effect, you get that effect on the roads when it's really hot and you get that sort of random sort of, it's not a mirage, but that thing, I don't know what the technical term for that is, but hazy. I want something that's hazy, but brooding and intense. And so we have another 7 books that I think fit that brief, along with Sunstruck. And interestingly, these are all by women. First up we have, and this cover I think is giving summer gothic, Dark Like Under by Alice Chadwick. And this is a book that I picked up in Daunt's in London when me and Mum were shopping, and she got a copy too. And I always like to try when I go to a Daunt's to pick up a book published by Daunt's. And this is set in the 1980s. A teacher has died recently in a small, I think it's northern, I want to say, but actually it doesn't say. I've assumed that. I don't know why. Probably because in my head everything happens in the north because I'm from the north. Moving on. So yeah, this is one, so yeah, wow, I went off for a right tangent there. This is a book, I'm not editing this video and I'm promising that I'm going to just put it up as is. No black and white bits or anything, which I would normally do at this bit where I'm boring myself as much as I'm boring him and he's not going to sleep. Anyway, so a teacher has recently died in this town. It's set in the 1980s and we follow Tin, who is a young person sort of coming to terms with life, but as we follow their story, we're also getting loads of secrets behind the twitching curtains of the town. And that to me sounds like a good time. I feel like from the cover, it almost should be like a, I don't know, a crime novel slightly, but I guess I think that's what I mean about that summer, hazy, heat, but yet brooding atmosphere vibe that I want from a summer gothic novel. Then we have Heather Darwin's A Sharp Scratch. I read her debut novel, oh, is it With Friends Like These? How do you need... And no, The Things We Do to Our Friends. I was going to say With Friends Like These, Who Needs Enemies? But it is very much a book about frenemies. And this is, in my head, another sort of perfect summer gothic in the fact that when I think of gothic for summer, when I think of it in the autumn, I'm thinking of creepy old mansion houses, lightning and thunder, although thunderstorms at any point actually could happen during this video, who knows. That's kind of that sort of gothic for me, maybe Victoriana. Whereas with summer gothic, I'm thinking cults, I'm thinking swampy, I'm thinking desert and deserted. And this is set on a retreat, which is where our narrator ends up going to, and nothing is quite as it seems. And instead, what's the line? It says, "She isn't broken, just special." And I think it looks at how this retreat preys on people and maybe, well, I'm guessing, has kind of a culty vibe to it. Then we have, and why would this not be summer for everyone, or summer gothic for everyone, I believe a bit of cannibalism. This is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I've seen loads and loads and loads of people read this and really, really love it. Although actually I've seen a few Marmite things more recently. I'm intrigued. It has a really disgusting first line or two. I quite like the idea of being really unsettled in the sunshine as I read, and I guess that's perfect summer gothic, being unsettled in the sunshine. But yeah, I know this has had loads and loads of chat about it, and so it's one that I've been meaning to get to, and I would like to over the summer months. I think I'm in my head thinking from the 1st of July really, head to a lot of the books that I wanted to get to this year that I haven't, as well as getting to some of the books that I'm most excited about that are still going to come out in the second half of the year. So that's like another thing. But I should say, I haven't read any of these, and if you're someone who maybe didn't love any of the books as much or found them a bit Marmite, please hold your thoughts until I've read them. If you love them, let me know that, because that ignites my excitement all the more, and I want to be excited about, well, I am excited about all these and I want to keep that excitement going. Then we have a book that I think I've shown on the channel before. This is the finished copy of it though. This is The Hounding by Zenobi Purvis, and this sounds like a perfect summer historical gothic novel, and I don't tend to head to historical fiction in the summer or indeed the spring. Again, they're the sort of books that I tend to leave for the autumn and winter. I think I've talked in the past before how I would really like some more historical summer fiction. I've just had the horrible realisation that the 1980s are of course now historical, because I think it's anything over 30 years old counts as historical, which means that I'm also historical. Anyway, by some way, a decade. Moving on, but this is set in the 18th century in the Oxfordshire countryside. I believe it's around witch trials, but also these sisters who the whole town/village think are really odd, and there's lots of rumours going around them, including the fact that they might be women who can turn themselves into dogs. I think that I've got that from the title, possibly more than the blurb. So yeah, we have that. So this sounds supernatural. It's set in a heat wave in the summer, historical, gothic, yes please, very excited for it. As I am another book that I meant to read when I got it last year, Naughty Simon Sausage, or Naughty Sausage Simon, either way, moving on. It's Spoilt Creatures by, speaking of spoiled creatures, it's Spoiled Creatures by Amy Twigg. And again, this is a book that got absolutely raved about. I saw Amy Twigg interviewed at Women's Prize Live last year and was like, I need to read that, I need to read that. It's about a cult. It's set over a summer, I believe, and so therefore absolutely perfect. While he's doing that, I'm really tempted to pause and hold up some books so that that is my thumbnail. Let's see if I use that one or not, but that is absolute summer lounger. Then we have a book that I recently discovered. It's called Creep in America. I also met the author at this year's Women's Prize Live, and it reminded me how much I wanted to read her book. This is This Immaculate Body by Emma Van Straten, which and she was one of the winners of the Women's Prize Discoveries Award, which kind of finds new talent, and she got published post that. And this is about a woman who's a cleaner and has never met the man she cleans for, yet she has become a kind of dangerously obsessed by him, and so we follow on. I think this is going to be brilliant. This is giving unreliable narrator. I love an unreliable narrator, and actually on the subject of things I love, I'm thinking of following in the suit of lovely Elizabeth, who works at Dawn Summertown, who has done a bingo card for her summer reads of all her favourite things in fiction, like all her favourite tropes, and I think I'm going to do that. I was thinking of doing one where I combined it with some of my patrons' tropes. When I asked them, they didn't give me many, although if you've got any favourite summer tropes, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to do sort of, I haven't done amazingly well with the savage prompts, and I've now realised that I've forgotten what they are for the summer, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I might have to pause and carry on. Anyway, yeah, very excited for this. The title change is really interesting for me because I've noticed that's happening with a few books in the UK and America at the moment, but yeah, one that I'm super excited to get to, as I'm saying with all of these. And then last but certainly not least is Anna Bailey's Our Last Wild Days, and I read her debut Tall Bones earlier this year and was absolutely bowled over by it. I was hooked. It's a real slow burn, which also feels kind of summery, actually, a slow burny kind of book, and is about a girl who goes missing in a small American town and looks at all the complexities there. And this does similar, but it's set in a swampland. And, well, I say it does similar, I haven't read it yet. It's a mystery. A body is found and in a swamp, and we follow the characters in that town and get to know all of their secrets. And I'm so excited for it because I thought Anna's debut was brilliant. So there we have my gothic-y kind of summary reads. If you've got any recommendations of books that fit that summer gothic brief, which was a little bit vague, I won't lie, but those sort of hazy, really big atmosphere, almost like books that feel like, you know, the air just before a thunderstorm, that kind of vibe. Hazy, unsettling, quirky, queer in all different ways, maybe a bit of cult action going on. There could be, I don't know, criminess. Yeah, gritty. I'd like that. That's my brief. Oh, the wind is kicking off. Then we had, oh no, I've got to get this right. Oh, I'm gonna have to move Earl because he's holding on to the next sort of, I guess, theme of books I would like to head to. But one of the books that I had for people to vote on was Saraswati on Instagram as my first read of the summer, and that's because I want to have an Indian summer. I want to escape to India through fiction a lot. I don't have any big holidays planned this summer. Maybe towards the end I might have a week somewhere, but due to unforeseen circumstances, the plan to go to Lisbon to see Kylie has been slightly waylaid because in the middle of July, something very exciting is happening for me that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but I will do in due course. And so it means that I need to be in the UK, possibly in London. I will say no more. So yeah, but we may go somewhere else for for a long weekend before. Anyway, so as I'm not travelling too far afield or haven't any plans to travel too far afield, I want to head to one of my favourite countries to read about in fiction that I haven't for ages, and that is India. And Saraswati is about a mythical river that people believe has vanished, although our protagonists, I think their grandparents die, and on the land they find a well, and this might be linked to it. But then this is also, I believe, a book that looks at how people are moving rivers in certain parts of the world and what the effects that's having on the places they move them from. So I think it's got a bit of a climate vibe to it too. So that really, really intrigues me. The other Indian summer-based books, oh, you're holding on to them so well, but I've just got to, I'm so sorry. What a cruel, he's not fussed. I mean, look, just gives him more room to roam. But the other books in India that I'm really, really keen to get to are Half Light by Mahesh Rao. And this is one of my most anticipated books of the autumn. So I want to get reading to it a little bit ahead of time. And this is set in India in the lead up to the decriminalisation of homosexuality, which I think happened in, I was going to say 1991. It was 2018. Gosh, that really makes you think, doesn't it? Anyway, very excited for this. It doesn't look like this in its final version. It'll look like, oh, don't know if you can see that because I can't see, but it'll look like that. So yeah, don't know too much about it, don't want to, because I just want to see what story Mahesh is going to tell. But I'm very, very, very excited for this one, as I am and have been for a while, because I think I've mentioned this book a few times on the channel, Deviants by Santanu Bhattacharya. And this is set over 3 different generations in India and 3 different men who are all gay, and looks how it has changed for gay men out there. And I think these books might talk to each other a little bit, and I do like that when that happens. Is that the same for you guys? I'd really, really like to know. But yeah, very excited for this one. Have been for a while. I've been meaning to read it all year so far, and as I said, I'd like to get to a lot more of those books. And then a book that I meant to read last year, and it's by an author who I really love, who I don't think I've talked about much on this channel before. This is Choice by Neil Mukherjee, and I don't think this is all, and I don't think all of this is set in India, but definitely a predominant amount of it. And this is all about a publisher who's at war with the industry themselves. It's going to be an interesting look at the publishing industry, which I'm always intrigued by. But it says, Choice is a scathing, compassionate quarrel with the world, a masterful inquiry on how we should live our lives and how we should tell them. But there was something about this book, I think, looks at creativity versus industry, or creativity versus capitalism, or consumerism, and that intrigues me. I wouldn't say that's the most summary of my choices, pun not intended, because it's called Choice, but yeah, it's one I want to get to. Oh my god, also I have to say, this has got the most incredible paperback cover, which I keep wanting to get, but I can't because I've got this one. But if I love it, I might treat myself to the paperback and then pass this one on to someone else. So those are some books set in India that I really want to get to for my sort of Indian summer vibes that I would like part of my summer reading to have. If you've any more recommendations of brilliant books set in India, I may have read them, but still leave them in the comments down below, because if I've read them and I love them, we can have a chat about it. But also, if other people are looking for book recommendations, the comments are always great for that too. Now, next up, I think I've done this in the right order, yes. Next up, of the 4 books, so the third, of the 4 books that people could vote on Instagram as the first of my summer reads that didn't get picked, so you'll now possibly have guessed which one did. I think I held them all up and showed you the spines or talked about them briefly. Maybe I didn't, maybe he was distracting me too much, like he probably is you, during the whole of this video. But yeah, the third book that didn't get picked but was an option was Myrrh by Danielle Giles, and this is all about nuns. And I've been saying for quite a while, I'm really, really keen to get to some non-fiction. Yeah, like non-fiction, but non-fiction. Anyway, I feel like I've over-explained that now. However, I'm kind of not glad this didn't get picked, because I would have still been really keen to read it, but in hindsight, I feel like nuns are definitely autumnal. I did read a Pope-based book, a novel, in spring. So what I'm feeling like summer would be good for is Saints. And this is Ordinary Saints by Maholion. I'm so sorry, I've probably absolutely butchered that. There's the cover so that you can see it, and yeah, apologies. But this is another author who was shortlisted for the Women's Prize Discoveries Award, and this is about a young queer woman from Ireland, and I feel like she's escaped her family, but then she hears that her parents are petitioning for her brother to be, I don't know if the term is canonised as a saint, but certainly made a saint. And that intrigues me a lot. So this is going to be looking at queerness and religion and saints, and that sounds bonkers. I also love the tagline, the debut to answer all your prayers. Whoever came up with that at Manila Press, genius, absolute genius. I think that's brilliant. So yeah, that is going to be my sort of saintly book, but I've got a feeling like it's going to be saints and sinners, which is a combination that I also could be here for. And then last of the books that I picked as a sort of potential summer vibe was The Book of Guilt by Catherine Chidgey, and this is the one that won the vote on Instagram, and I have started reading. So this is officially my first book of summer. I haven't got very far because the vote didn't end that long ago, but this I had picked because I thought it was speculative fiction, and I still think it is, but it's not the speculative fiction that I was going to say speculating, but let's be real, I was expecting. I just wanted to use a little bit of alliteration there. This is set in the 1970s in England, but it's very much an alternate history, and we meet triplets who are living in this house where they have mother morning, mother afternoon, or is it mother day, and mother night, and you're getting sort of little hints of what might be going on, but it's a real mystery, but you just know things are not quite as they seem, and it's all a bit odd and otherly. Now, I, in my head, thought this was a novel set in the future, because in my head, speculative fiction is always futuristic, but no, alternate history can be speculative too, right? What is the definition of speculative fiction to you all? I would love to know that in the comments below. And also, as I'm on a bit of a speculative fiction kick and have some that I've read recently that I've really, really loved, and a few on the TBR, one, I'd love your recommendations of speculative fiction that you think I might like, but also I'd love to know if you'd like me to make a speculative fiction recommendations and reads video at some point, because one thing that I haven't mentioned is I'm planning on taking the middle of July until the middle of August off, but pre-recording stuff, so you won't know that I'm not here. I did take the whole of August off last year, and I won't lie, and I don't want to make it all about algorithms, but boy did it punish me afterwards. Anyway, some other speculative books that I have on the shelves, or on my periphery for summer, they're not on my shelves because they're literally here by Earl, well, I've got two, and the first one, this is going to sound really childish, I almost didn't want to share. You right there? You okay? You good? Oh yeah, absolutely fine. But yeah, I almost didn't want to share this because, oh, now you've sat behind me and people are going to be disappointed because they can't see you. Shall I move over there now? Hang on 1 second, I'll just pause. Hi everyone, I'm back, and as you can see, he's now settled himself. What was I saying? Yes, I had a bit of a childish, because odd filming this direction, I don't know where to look, but I had a bit of a childish reaction with this book where I was like, oh, I don't want to share this on the channel yet because I want to have read it first and then be able to share it back to everyone. I don't know if you get that, what you hear about or find in a bookshop or library or wherever you get your books, a book where you're like, oh my goodness, this sounds incredible, and I just haven't heard anything about it, and I want to be the one shouting about it if it's really brilliant, which I think this one will be. It's The Land of Hope by Kate Baum, and this sounds incredible. It's set in rural northern England. I think it's in the not too distant future, and we meet a woman who is part of, she's part of a community surviving what seems like has been the apocalypse, and all there is every so often is this horrendous sound that just shatters the airwaves everywhere, and that's giving me slight Hagstone vibes, which I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, this just sounds great. I don't think I've made it sound as great as it sounded when I read the blurb, but I don't want to read the blurb because I have got so excited about it. If I then head to the blurb again, I might be disappointed or change my mind. But yeah, I'm very, very, very excited about this. Also, let's cover my face. How gorgeous is that cover? It is a stunner. And the other one is a book that lovely Natalie Murray has recommended on her channel, and it's The Thinning by Inga Simpson. And Inga Simpson is an Australian author. I have not read enough Australian fiction this year, naughty me. And I should say Catherine Chidgey is a New Zealand author. Yeah, this is set in the not too distant future. This is very much a climate catastrophe novel. It's about a group of people living off the grid, but it looks like something awful is going on. They've cut themselves off from the news and everything, but it looks like something awful is going on. And so, yeah, we follow them from there. So that is I feel like I need to switch the camera around because I'm a bit perplexed. As I know I should be looking there and I'm looking over there. Can you tell? I don't know. Anyway, I do like to give you a little bit of eye contact. On to books that don't fit any of the vibes of the 4 that I've picked, because I was thinking of other things I want to head to, and one of them was like, if I had like a single prompt word that I could go with summer gothic or those other themes, is fruity. I'd like a fruity summer. Now, I'm a bit of a salad dodger, I won't lie. However, I'm in the right mood right now for fig salads and peach salads and, oh, delicious. And also a good Caesar salad, but that's not fruity. And the other thing that I was thinking of the day when I was thinking about different sort of vibes or themes or, I don't know, not planned, well, it is planned, but I was thinking about fruity books and it reminded me of the wonderful Marique Hardy when she described
It's just a big, juicy, overripe plum. It's bursting out of its flesh and dribbling down your chin as you read. And what a great, sticky, glorious mess to end up in when you finished it.
Now, if you didn't used to watch the amazing First Tuesday Book Club, you missed a treat, but I think you can get most of them and watch them back. Anyway, the whole thing about a ripe, juicy plum and, you know, where the sort of juices run down your face and just, oh, that's kind of what I want. Now, I don't know if these 3 books will give me that, but they've got fruit on the cover. And also, I am wearing my favourite fruit of all, the raspberry. It is the superior berry. I will not have any discussions otherwise. But my other favourite fruit is a pineapple, and that's what's on the cover of The Art of a Lie by Laura Shepherd Robinson. Again, I was saying earlier that I don't tend to read that much historical fiction in the summer. This is a murder mystery, and it says a widow, a handsome stranger, a murderer, and a novelist turned detective. Which one of them has mastered the art of a lie? Can you uncover the truth? And I like the way that insinuates you're kind of part of trying to work out what's going on. I know nothing more. I haven't read Laura's books before, but I've heard brilliant things from those who have. So yeah, very, very excited for this. Also, I'm absolutely loving this colour. This is the colour of one of my spare rooms, and it's one of my favourites. So we have that. Then we have The Homemade God by Rachel Joyce. And Rachel Joyce is an author who I have meant to read for years. I've met her, she's absolutely lovely, and that made me want to read her all the more, and I just haven't got around to it. This is meant to be about a family and the absolute falling apart of it, and also is set in Italy. And so if I do happen to go to Italy for a long weekend, I feel like I might head to this along with Ripeness by Sarah Moss, which is about siblings. It's set in Italy, there's a family mystery, and then I think we head to Ireland. So yeah, very intrigued for this. Sarah Moss is an author I adore. I would like to head to more of the authors I love who've had books out this year or got books coming out this year, rather than saving them for a rainy day. Although, I forgot to say this, one of the reasons that I like the idea of reading summer gothic is because if it's hot outside, the tension in the brooding atmosphere will match, but also if it's raining outside, curling up with a gothic book, nothing quite like it in a rainstorm, thunderstorm, or just a drizzle. But yeah, very excited for this one, and I can't work out whether these are peaches or oranges and whether they've got anything to do with the book. But I think Ripeness, as well as a title, harks back to that whole Marique Hardy thing. So there we go. Then another thing I was thinking about is books that have kind of really summery covers or kind of have a heat to them. Some might say steamy. And did I say I'm thinking of doing a challenge where I create a bingo card based on my favourite things? I think I did, and steamy would be a word in it. If I do this, I will share it on Instagram at some point. If you want to join in, you can. But we'll come to steamy in a second, because I was talking about books with that sort of summery cover. This, to me, Waist Deep by Linnea Major Ernst, which is translated by Sherilyn Nicolette Helberg from, I want to say it's Danish. Yes, it is Danish. This is meant to be an absolute corker. I've seen people raving about this, and I found it. I don't like people saying that they discovered stuff. There's a horrible connotation to that. But I found a copy of this in a Oxfam in Bath brand new. It only just come out. I was like, oh, okay. Also, I will say, check out that massive font. That's going to be one that you can sit and just either on a really sunny day outside or on a really rainy day inside devour in a day. So yeah, very excited for this. I believe it's about a group of friends who reunite, and tensions that have been lying underneath and sort of frissons, is that the right word? Something like that, all come to the fore. Very, very excited for it. And I have been excited for this book for ages. I think I talked about this and wanting to read it many times last year and didn't get around to it, but I really, really want to. I should say also, queering in translation, that could be another sort of thing that I want to head to more over the summer, and this next book is queering in translation too. It is Selamil, I've said it wrong, Selamlik by Khalid Al-Smail, translated by from the Arabic by Larry Price, and this is all about a young man coming to terms with his sexuality in Syria, and it's meant to be quite homoerotic, so steamy times ahead, and I'm here for it. Steamy summer, who wouldn't want that? A project that I've got plans to do over the summer and autumn is to sort of, I was going to say attack, that sounds a little bit too aggressive. I really want to head to some of the problem areas in or on my bookshelves where I have overflowing books, and an example of that is on the shelves that, just here that you can see some of them actually there, not those, oh no, those are some of them. I have lots of books that I've had imported from other countries because I wanted to get to them, and they're overflowing, and I stopped doing my sorting the shelves where I would balance and make sure that the shelves were full and not overflowing, even though I did bring in, you can't see it's out of shot, thank goodness, because it's an absolute state, but my book trolley into play. But some of the books that I have that I think would be great for summer, and also actually are all queer, are Loca by Alejandro Heredia. This I've seen raves about, a queer tale. I think it's set... no, I'm wrong. I thought it was set in Mexico. That's not right at all. But this is, Loca follows one daring year in the lives of young people living at the edge of their own patience and desires. With expansive grace, Alejandro Heredia reveals both the grueling conditions that force people to migrate and the possibility of friendship as home, when family, nations and identity groups fall short. That's an odd blurb. This is also why I don't always like to read blurbs, because that felt a bit jarring. Which makes me think the book will be, even though I know it's not, because I've seen great reviews about it. And then I have two novels looking at the trans experience that are in my problem areas on my shelves because I have so many important books. One of them is Still Life, which is by Catherine Packer Burke. This is meant to be a really, really fantastic, I think quite occasionally confronting, but also beautiful and sexy, funny, book. The reason that I also was intrigued by this is one of my favourite books of all time is also called Still Life. It's by Sarah Women. That's a brilliant summer read if you haven't read it yet. It's always interesting to see, I don't know, I in my head I'm like, oh, should I compare Still Lives and see which one I like most? I don't know, that's odd. Moving on, won't be cutting that out. We also have Woodworking, which I feel like I should hold fire reading until, well, literally the end of the school holidays, because this, oh, the rain's coming. This is set in a school where a young pupil who's transitioning becomes quite close with a teacher who has transitioned. And I don't know if you remember or if you saw the video where I talked about Bad Habit, which I thought was an incredible book about people having other people to look up to when they feel different, and it's a kind of way of accepting. I feel like this might be that sort of book, I'm hoping and guessing. Then last but not least, three books that I need to read. And the first of those is a buddy read, which I am, oh goodness, I'm going to sneeze, I'm going to have to pause. Summer hay fever, what a treat. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, I'm going to be doing a buddy read with the lovely Cole Grissom, whose channel I will link down below. Also go and find him on Instagram because he's an absolute joy. And we're going to be reading Henry together by Alan Bratton, which is a retelling of the Shakespeare, so they call it it's the Henry plays. I don't want to read the blurb too much and find out too much, but yeah, it's a retelling of the Shakespeare King Henry plays set in 2014, I think in London, yes. And it's queer, it's meant to be fantastic, and I'm really, really looking forward to reading it with Cole. I think we'll have a delightful time. Cole hasn't done a buddy read before, so I'm very excited to be popping his buddy reading cherry, as it were. We've gone back to fruit. Let's all move swiftly on, but yes, head into that. And then, after having a break from events for a while, my first event back, late summer, in my head, end of August is autumn, but let's not have that debate right now. But I will be joined by the lovely Louise Savage Muses, also known as my mother, or the artist formerly known as my mother, to interview the wonderful Susanna Stapleton about That Dark Spring in Daunt's Summertown, which is in Oxford. Very, very excited for it. Mum and I have met Susanna before. She's an absolute treat. I absolutely loved her debut non-fiction, which was Secret Lives. Yes, no, The Adventures of Maud West, Lady Detective, and all of her secret lives. And I loved that book partly because it drew out a history of a woman I'd never heard of, who was really infamous in her time, but like has sort of been a bit forgotten. But also you felt very much the Watson to Susanna's Holmes as she was finding out about her. So yeah, really, really looking forward to this. And then last but certainly not least, I'm going to be interviewing in September Richard Armitage. Is going to be happening, so I need to read The Cut, which is his second thriller. I actually also need to read his debut thriller, Geneva, which I have on the shelves and is set in an icy wonderland, so that will cool me down at some point. I don't know much about this at all. I don't want to. I want to go and know nothing. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to interviewing Richard, and that's all I'll say before I start blushing. So there we are. Those are some of the potential reads for the summer, but they're definitely sort of the plans vibes that I'm going for this summer. I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, one thing that I've not mentioned is what the prompts are over the summer. And actually, I have not read June's prompt, which the Savage Reading prompt for June is a book set in a hotel or motel. So if you're joining in with the prompts that me and Mum picked from a jar that you'd suggested, but we randomly picked, are we doing 14 this year? I feel like we are. One that you can do per month or whenever you like, and then 2 bonus ones. But yeah, June's is a book set in a hotel or motel. July is a book with dual timelines. August is a book which fictionalises the life of a famous historical figure. Can I count, where's Henry gone? Can I count that as that? Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down below. And then September, a book with a light source on the cover. Hopefully when Mum and I next meet, we'll maybe do a prompts catch up. And hopefully we're seeing each other in the not too distant future, so that'll be lovely. Right, I'm going to go and get back to this because frankly, I didn't want to film because I didn't want to put this down. So that's a very good sign so far. And thank those of you who voted. Well, those of you who voted anyway on Instagram, it's something that I might do a little bit more often. I need to get my Instagram going back up. But yeah, thanks for you who voted for this because so far it's a corking start to the summer, and long may that continue. As I said, if you've read some of these and you didn't love them, don't tell me that now, but if you did, ignite the excitement with me further. If there's any books that you think match any of my summer plans / themes / vibes, whatever you want to call them, then let me know those in the comments down below, and also let me know what you're planning on reading this summer, and if you have any particular I don't know, seasonal reading, what's the word I want to use? I've talked for too long. It's been too long. I feel rusty anyway. But yeah, I hope you're doing super duper well. If you would like more Savage Shenanigans, my Patreon, my Instagram, my Blue Sky, my wishlist, all those things are linked down below. And I will be back with another video, hopefully fairly soon. I was going to say very soon, but I don't want to overpromise. But yeah, I will speak to you all soon. Oh, and actually, if you've got any ideas for any videos that you'd like me to make in advance of me having that month-ish off that you won't even notice, let me know that down below too. I was going to have a chat to you about the fact that I don't think I'm going to be vlogging over the summer, but actually I kind of feel like maybe I will. And also I shouldn't say that I am or I'm not doing anything, because I should just go with it. And I want to read by whim, I want to film by whim. There we go, that's a big summer plan. Right, I'm really going now. I'll speak to you all soon.